I mean, I don't really know much about it, to be honest. Everyone's getting all, about it, but uh, I mean, I'm not that interested.
Yeah.
Are you interested in the eclipse?
No, 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 no. I don't think anybody here's really expressed much interest. I was just, I was trying to remember why they're. I was trying to remember why they're inauspicious, like the references in Shastra.
It says different things. Different devotees quote different things.
Hmm.
Sometimes it seems like it's suspicious. Sometimes it's not. Anyway, yeah. But apparently, America is in an inauspicious astrological position right now. Sadasati, whatever it means. It's not a good time. But the whole world isn't a good time.
Yeah.
Leaving is never a good time.
No.
But I'm not really going to pay a lot of attention to it because it doesn't really affect devotees so much. If you, like Prabhupada said about astrology, that astrology, he discouraged devotees from getting into astrology actually. But some do. But, if you hear something bad's going to happen, it could be very depressing. It might never happen. And if you hear something good is going to happen, it may not happen. And then you'll be excited it's going to happen and it doesn't happen. So, but, as far as marriage, Prabhupada's, I think he was in favor of marriage charts, compatibility charts. But I know astrologers who've had kind of compatibility charts done which were favorable, but then the marriage was a failure. This is astrologers who had their chance done. But Amrita's not there.
She's coming. She's just finishing up.
Okay. Anyway, so today we can read a bit about Lord Caitanya. Because he's the Yuga avatar, and he's equally as important as Krishna, and he's we're all here because of Lord Caitanya. Srila Prabhupada's guru was his mission was called Sri Caitanya Gaudiya Math, the Gaudiya Math. Gaudiya means, Mayapur, Gaudiya, Bengal. So Lord Caitanya is very important. We can't really approach Krishna without Lord Caitanya. And Lord Chaitanya's giving love of Krishna in a mood that none of the other incarnations of Krishna ever gave before. The Lord Caitanya is very important to us. And Prabhupada said when we chant Hare Krishna, we should think of Krishna and Lord Caitanya. So Lord Caitanya has many pastimes, and Lord Caitanya is the most merciful incarnation of Krishna, and he taught us, and we should all learn the Shikshastakam, the 8 verses left by Lord Caitanya, because they sum up the whole philosophy and how to approach Krishna. So this is in the Caitanya Caritamrta. This is Adi Lila, chapter 17. It's a long chapter, so we probably won't do the whole chapter. We'll just do some of it. And we'll sing the invocation. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Maybe I should be the prominent one though.
You are for me, Garash. Here, I'll pin you for everyone.
Okay, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit dark though. Okay, so Adi Lila, this is chapter 17. So we'll take it in turns to read. I'll read the summary. The 17th chapter, as summarized by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakura, in case you haven't heard or you don't know, Bhaktivinoda Thakura is a very important person in the line of disciples coming down from Lord Caitanya. Bhaktivinoda Thakura was a genius, and he was also a High Court judge during the British rule in India, and he wrote many books, and he was empowered by Lord Caitanya. And so Gaura Shakti was part of his Namo Bhaktivinoda Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Srupaya. So he was, Gaura Shakti means the power of Gaura, Lord Caitanya. Gaura means golden. So he was empowered by Lord Caitanya to preach. And so his books are considered to be as good as the Vedas, whatever he wrote, because he was, he was recognized by all the devotees to be a very elevated personality whose writings and whose teachings are absolute. So he wrote the summary of the pastimes. Yeah. His son, of course, was Bhaktivinoda Thakura. I think he had 12 or 13 children. And his son was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was also Srila Prabhupada's guru and one of the prominent links in the disciplic succession. So all these people are not ordinary people. His son, for instance, he was able to speak on the Bhagavad Gita when he was 5 years of age. Could give lecture. I don't know about a lecture, but he could describe the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. You can understand how that's possible because you've got an 8-year-old Indian girl, I mentioned it last week or something, who's a grand chess master, 8 years of age. And you see some of these kids, I have sometimes watch Instagram. On Instagram, sometimes these Indian kids, they are very kind of more advanced than Western kids. They always win the spelling bee competitions. So even when he was like 2 or 3 years of age, that he ate a mango that was not offered to Krishna. So his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakura, he chastised him. And then he took a vow never to eat. He took the mango wasn't offered. He felt so bad about it. So he took a vow to never eat mangoes again, even though mangoes are considered to be the king of fruits. And so when he was older and he was offered mangoes, he would refuse to eat them. He would say, no, I'm an offender. I won't eat the mango. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was alive, he wanted to go to Russia. And so the devotees were trying to dissuade him from going to Russia because he didn't go by himself. He went with somebody else. The whole story about him going is amazing, because while he was staying in the hotel, the Indian ambassador's son came to see him with his friend. And just by meeting him once, that Russian boy, he became a devotee, and he started Krishna consciousness in Russia, and there are so many temples. But anyway, Prabhupada, he wanted to go to Russia. They were trying to dissuade him, and they said, well, you know, it's the mango season in India, please don't go to Russia. And Prabhupada said, well, preaching in the snows of Russia is much sweeter than eating mangoes. So preaching is the essence of Krishna consciousness. And so that's a reward for going out, trying to spread Krishna consciousness. A lot of times devotees undergo difficulties to spread Krishna consciousness because they have so much faith that, you know, Krishna and the whole way of life is such an important thing for people to hear about and do, that they'll practically sacrifice their lives to do it. There was one devotee, there's a book actually written by some Russian devotees who were put into prison camps in Russia because they were devotees, and they would not renounce their belief in Krishna. They would say, well, if you renounce Krishna consciousness, we'll let you go free. But they wouldn't do it, which is amazing to me. But they took a lot of risks to spread Krishna consciousness. And so anyway, back to Vinod Thakur, he wrote this, so we should try to read some of his poems. He wrote very deep, heartfelt poems. So here we'll read. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya describes Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes from his 16th year until the time he accepted the renounced order of life. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has already vividly described these pastimes in the Caitanya Bhagavat. So the Caitanya Bhagavat, I may have explained before, that's also a very important book. Srila Prabhupada didn't translate that book, but the Caitanya, we're studying Caitanya Caritamrta, and Prabhupada, for some reason, he actually translated that book rather than the Caitanya Bhagavat. Although the Caitanya Bhagavat is very important, I have a copy of the translation. There's several different translations. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes them only briefly. Vivid descriptions of some portions of his pastimes are seen in this chapter. However, because Vrindavan Das Thakur has not elaborately described them. In this chapter, we shall find descriptions of the mango distribution festival, Lord Chaitanya's discourses with Chankazi. Finally, the chapter shows that the same son of Mother Yashoda, Lord Krishna, tasted 4 transcendental mellows of devotional service in his form of Sachinandana, the son of Mother Sachi. To understand Srimati Radharani's ecstatic love for him, Lord Sri Krishna assumed the form of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The attitude of Srimati Radharani is considered the super excellent devotional mentality. As Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself assumed the position of Srimati Radharani to taste her ecstatic situation. No one else could do this. So Srimati Radharani is Krishna's beloved consort, and she experiences a certain type of pleasure from her relationship with Krishna. And Lord Caitanya wanted to Krishna wanted to experience the feeling that Radharani gets from her relationship with Krishna. So Krishna appeared as Srimati Radharani to experience that love, but also to spread Krishna consciousness. When Sri Krishna assumed the form of the 4-armed Narayan, the gopis showed their respect, but they were not very interested in him, because they're more interested in Krishna's 2-armed form, which is his most beautiful form. In the ecstatic love of the Gopas, all worshipable forms but Krishna are rejected. Among all the Gopas, Srimati Radharani has the highest ecstatic love. When Krishna in his form of Narayan saw Radharani, he could not keep his position as Narayan and again assumed the form of Krishna. Anyway, so Krishna, one time he assumed the form of Narayan with 4 arms, which is a lower form. Krishna's 2-armed form is the highest form. So when Radharani saw Krishna with the 4-armed form, he was not able to maintain the 4-armed form, so he went back to his most beautiful form, which is the 2-armed form. The king of Brajabhumi is Nanda Maharaj, and the same person in Navadvip is Jagannath Mishra, the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly, Mother Yashoda is the queen of Brajabhumi, and in the pastimes of Lord Caitanya, she is Sachi Mata. Therefore, the son of Sachi is the son of Yashoda. Sri Nityananda occupies an ecstatic position of parental love in servitude and fraternal abstraction. Sri Advaita Prabhu exhibits the ecstasy of both fraternity and servitude. All the Lord's other associates situated in their original love engage in the service of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The same absolute truth who enjoys as Krishna, Shyamasundar, who plays his flute and dances with the gopis, sometimes takes birth in a Brahmin family and plays the part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accepting the renounced order of life. It appears contradictory that the same Krishna accepted the ecstasy of the gopis, and of course this is very difficult for an ordinary person to understand. But so you're not ordinary if you can understand this. It's all so inconceivably unusual to normal people, but we accept it as the absolute truth. But if we accept the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can understand that everything is possible. There is no need of mundane arguments in this connection, because mundane arguments are meaningless in regard to inconceivable potency. At the end of the 17th chapter, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, following in the footsteps of Srila Vyasadeva, has summarized all the Adi Lila pastimes separately. Okay, so you can start reading Sri Nami, usual program.
Okay. I just wanted to know, Sid mentioned he won't be able to read because it's too small on his phone. So
Who said?
Yeah, Sid. He's on his phone and it's just too small of text. So I just wanted
Sid won't be able to read?
Yeah, he'll just listen along. Text 1. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even unclean Yavanas become perfectly well-bred gentlemen by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Such is the power of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Wow, what a nice verse. Text 2. All glories to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Caitanya. I have already given a synopsis of the Kaishora Lila of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now let me enumerate his youthful pastimes in chronological order. Exhibiting his scholarship, beauty, and fine dress, Lord Caitanya danced and chanted as he distributed the holy name of the Lord to awaken dormant love of Krishna. Thus, Lord Sri Gaurasundar shone in his youthful pastimes. As he entered his youth, the Lord decorated himself with ornaments, dressed himself in fine cloth, garlanded himself with flowers, and smeared himself with sandalwood. By dint of pride in his education, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for anyone else, defeated all kinds of learned scholars while executing his studies. In his youth, the Lord exhibited his ecstatic love of Krishna on the plea of disturbances of the bodily airs. Accompanied by his confidential devotees, he enjoyed various pastimes in this way. Thereafter, the Lord went to Gaya. There he met Srila Ishwara Puri. In Gaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was initiated by Ishwara Puri, and immediately afterwards he exhibited signs of love of Godhead. He again displayed such symptoms after returning home. Thereafter, the Lord delivered love of Krishna to his mother, Sachi Devi, nullifying her offense at the feet of Advaita Acharya. Thus there was a meeting with Advaita Acharya, who later had a vision of the Lord's universal form.
Srivas Thakur.
Yeah, keep reading.
Srivas Thakur then worshipped Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu by the process of Abhishek. Sitting on a cot, the Lord exhibited transcendental opulence. After this function at the house of Srivas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu appeared, and when he met with Lord Caitanya, he got the opportunity to see him in his six-armed form. One day, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited to Lord Nityananda Prabhu a six-armed form bearing a conch shell, disc, club, lotus flower, bow, and flute. Thereafter, the Lord showed him his four-armed form, standing in a three-curved posture. With two hands, he played upon a flute, and in the other two, he carried a conch shell and disc. Finally, the Lord showed Nityananda Prabhu his two-armed form of Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, simply playing on his flute, his bluish body dressed in yellow garments. Nityananda Prabhu then arranged to offer Vyasa Puja, or worship of the spiritual master, to Lord Sri Gaurasundar. But Lord Caitanya carried the plow-like weapon called Mushala in the ecstasy of being Nityananda Prabhu. Thereafter, Mother Sachi Devi saw the brothers Krishna and Balaram in their manifestation of Lord Caitanya and Nityananda. Then the Lord delivered the two brothers Jagai and Madai. After this incident, the Lord remained in an ecstatic position for 21 hours, and all the devotees saw his specific pastimes. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt the ecstasy of the boar incarnation and got up on the shoulders of Murari Gupta. Thus, they both danced in Murari Gupta's courtyard. After this incident, the Lord ate raw rice given by Shuklambar Brahmachari and explained very elaborately the import of the Harinama Shloka mentioned in the Brihan Naradiya Purana.
Lydia.
This age of Kali, there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. In this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the Hari Krishna Mahamantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. This verse repeats the word Eva, certainly, 3 times for emphasis, and it also 3 times repeats Hare Nama, the holy name of the Lord, just to make common people understand. The use of the word Kevala only, prohibit all the processes such as the cultivation of knowledge, practice of mystic yoga, or performance of austerity and fruitive activities. The verse clearly states that anyone who accepts any other path cannot be delivered. This is the reason for the triple repetition, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else, which emphasizes the real process of self-realization. To chant the holy name always, one should be humbler than the grass in the street and devoid of all desires for personal honor, but one should offer others all respectful obeisance. A devotee engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord should practice forbearance like that of a tree. Even if rebuked or chastised, or chastised, he should not say anything to others to retaliate. For even if one cuts a tree, it never protests, and even if it's drying up and dying, it does not ask anyone for water. Thus, a Vaishnava should not ask anything from anyone else. If someone gives him something without being asked, he should accept it. But if nothing comes, a Vaishnava should be satisfied to eat whatever vegetable and fruits are easily available. One should strictly follow the principle of always chanting the holy name, and one should be satisfied with whatever he gets easily. Such devotional behavior subtly maintains one's devotional service.
Right? One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree. Israel is not here. Is Israel here?
Yes.
Oh, you want to read?
Yes. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and does not expect personal honor, yet is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. Raising my hands, I declare, everyone, please hear me. String this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. One must strictly follow the principle given by the Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu in this verse. If one simply follows the footsteps of the Lord Caitanya and the Goswamis, certainly he will achieve the ultimate goal of life, the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu regularly led congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the house of Sri Vashasa Thakura. Srivasaka Thakura. Every night for 1 full year, this ecstatic chanting was performed with the doors closed so that non-believers who came to make fun could not gain entrance. Though the non-believers almost burned to ashes and died out on end of envy. Retaliate, they planned ways to give trouble to Sri Vashak Thakura. One night while Kirtan was going on the inside, Sri Vashak Thakura house at Brahmana named Gopala Kapala, the chief of non-believers, who was talkative and very rough in his speech, placed all paraphernalia for worshiping the goddess Durga outside Sri Vashak Thakura's door. On the upper portion of the plantain leaf, he placed such a paraphernalia for worship as odophilia, turmeric, vermilion, red sandalwood, and rice. He placed a pot of wine beside all this, and in the morning, when Sri Vashak Thakura opened his door, he saw this paraphernalia.
Okay, so what he was trying to do was to make Srivas Thakur look bad, because all the respectable gentlemen worshipped Krishna. They didn't worship Durga. Worshipping Durga was considered to be a lower class of people, lower class of worship. So he wanted to make him look bad by putting all these things outside his door, because he was envious of him. Sometimes, we find so-called devotees, they become envious and they do things to try to make you suffer. But anyway, he wasn't at all put out by it, as we will read. And he suffered a lot for what he did. So it says here, in this you can understand, he actually got leprosy, which we'll hear about. So sometimes, if the devotees are envious of other devotees, they might get leprosy, so you got to be careful. Srivas Thakur called for all the respectable gentlemen all of the neighborhood and smilingly addressed them as follows. Gentlemen, every night I worship the goddess Bhavani, which is Durga. He was just trying to, show that he wasn't bothered by the criticism, and he was kind of joking and just being humble. Since the paraphernalia for the worship is present here, now all you respectable Brahmins and members of the high class can understand my position. He didn't, in other words, he didn't try to deny it. He just said, yeah, well, this is me. But the senior wasn't. Then all the assembled gentlemen exclaimed, what is this? What is this? Who has performed such mischievous activities? Who is that sinful man? Because they trusted him. They knew he wouldn't do something like that, because they knew who he was. They called for a sweeper Adi, who threw all the items of worship far away and cleansed the place by mopping it with a mixture of water and cow dung. After 3 days, leprosy attacked Gopal Chapala, and blood oozed from sores all over his body. Incessantly covered with germs and insects biting him all over his body, Gopal Chapala felt unbearable pain. His entire body burned in distress. Since leprosy is an infectious disease, Gopal Chapala left the village to sit down on the bank of the Ganges underneath a tree. One day, however, he saw Caitanya Mahaprabhu passing by and spoke to him as follows: "My dear nephew, I am your eternal uncle in our village relationship. Please see how greatly this attack of leprosy has afflicted me. As an incarnation of God, you are delivering so many fallen souls. I am also a greatly unhappy fallen and soul. Kindly deliver me by your mercy." Hearing this, Caitanya Mahaprabhu appeared greatly angry, and in that angry mood, he spoke some words chastising him. Okay, Frida.
Sid said he can actually read this side of the text. So, Sid, if you'd like to read.
All right, if you want to
Yes.
read.
Yes, I would love to read it. So, thanks.
Text 51.
Yeah.
No,
You sitting in your car or something?
yes, I'm right here.
In your car?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Text 51, go on.
Can you see it?
Text
Sid?
51.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Oh, sinful person, envious of pure devotees, I shall not deliver you. Rather, I shall have you bitten by these germs of many millions of years. You have made Srila Thakura appear to have been worshipping the goddess Bhavani. Simply for this offense, you will have to fall down into hellish life for 10 million births. I have appeared in this incarnation to take his bath in the Ganges, and that sinful man did not give up his life, but continued to suffer.
Wait, you missed it. Oh, you missed the verse, I think. Did you? Okay, okay. Maybe I'm on text.
Oh, okay. So 53. I
Yeah.
have appeared in this incarnation to kill the demons, Prasandis, and after killing them, to preach the cult of devotional service. After saying this, the Lord left to take his bath in the Ganga, and that sinful man did not give up his life, but continued to suffer. When Sri Caitanya, after accepting the renounced order of life, went to Jagannath Puri, and then came back to the village of Kurila. Upon his return, that sinful man took shelter in the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord, being merciful to him, gave him instructions for his benefit. You have committed an offense at the lotus feet of Srivasa Thakura. The Lord said, first you must go there and beg for his mercy, and then if he gives you his blessings, and you do not commit such sins again, you will be freed from these reactions. Then the Brahmana Gopala Kapala went to Srivasa Thakura to take shelter in his lotus feet. But Srivasa Thakura's mercy, he was freed from all sinful reactions. Another Brahmana with an unhappy mind, but on the next day, he met Lord Caitanya on the banks of the Ganga and spoke to him.
Sid,
You missed
Sid,
the
sorry.
verse.
Text
You
60.
missed the verse.
Text
You missed
60.
60.
And then pause there.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay, Srida, here we
Oh, sorry. Anyways, text 60. Another Brahmana came to see the kirtan performance, but the door was closed and he could not enter the hall. He returned home with an unhappy mind, but on the next day he met Lord Caitanya on the bank of the Ganges and spoke to him. That Brahmana was expert in talking harshly and cursing others. Thus he broke his sacred thread and declared, I shall now curse you, for your behavior has greatly aggrieved me. The Brahmana cursed the Lord. You shall be bereft of all material happiness. When the Lord heard this, he felt great jubilation within himself. Any faithful person,
So why did he feel jubilation?
because he doesn't want material happiness. He doesn't see material things as having any happiness.
That's right. So I'll just explain that the devotees would go to Srivas Thakur's house to have kirtan with Lord Caitanya, but it was really, intimate sort of chanting that we do different types of chanting. We go out on the street and we chant in public, but sometimes devotees, they have more kind of pure, in a way, pure chant, not pure, but more intimate chanting in private homes or in private places. And so Lord Caitanya didn't want, kind of strangers coming in because they wouldn't appreciate, if somebody was crying or something, Lord Caitanya would manifest ecstatic symptoms and people wouldn't understand it. So they didn't want outsiders coming. Okay, keep going.
Okay, text 64. Any faithful person who hears of this Brahmana's cursing Lord Caitanya is delivered from all Brahminical curses. Haribo. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu blessed Mukunda Datta with punishment and in that way vanquished all his mental depression. Lord Caitanya respected Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master, but Advaita Acharya Prabhu was greatly aggrieved by such behavior. Thus, he whimsically began to explain the path of philosophical speculation, and the Lord, in his anger, seemingly disrespected him. At that time,
do you want to explain to the others what that means?
I just remember the pastime where he starts explaining like impersonal philosophy just to upset Lord Caitanya to get a reaction from him.
Yeah, because he didn't want to be worshipped by Lord Caitanya because he was, Advaita Acharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva or Mahavishnu, and he's on a lower level than Krishna. And Lord Caitanya is Krishna, so he didn't want Krishna or Lord Caitanya to worship him because he's on a lower level. So therefore he said something to get chastised because he wanted to be in a lower position. So he started preaching a bogus philosophy so the Lord Caitanya would, get on his case and chastise him.
Thank you. Yeah. Advaita Acharya. At that time, Advaita Acharya was greatly pleased. The Lord understood this and he was somewhat ashamed, but he offered Advaita Acharya his benediction. Murari Gupta was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. When Lord Caitanya heard Lord Ramachandra's glories from his mouth, he immediately wrote on his forehead, Ram Das, the eternal servant of Lord Ramachandra. Once Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu went to...
You know who Murari Gupta was in his previous incarnation? He was Hanuman.
Hanuman, that's yes. Yeah,
So, he appeared in Caitanya Lila as a doctor. And so a lot of Lord Chaitanya's associates with different personalities in their previous lives. Okay, keep going.
Wasn't it Murari Gupta? Wasn't Lord Caitanya preaching to him about having Krishna as his sort of Ishtadev, and Murari Gupta was just so distraught because he couldn't give up the lotus feet of Lord Ram. And
I think that may have been somebody else.
Okay, gotcha.
Happened a couple of times.
Okay.
Happened to another devotee who was fasting, and he was fasting because Sita, he was disturbed because Sita had been banished by Lord Ram, and he was fast. Anyway, there's different devotees in Caitanya Lila who were devotees to Lord Ram.
Okay. Text 70. Once Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu went to the house of Sridhar after Kirtan and drank water from his damaged iron pot. Then he bestowed his benediction upon all the devotees according to their desires.
After this incident, the Lord blessed Haridas Thakur and vanquished the offense of his mother at the home of Advaita Acharya. Once, when the Lord explained the glories of the holy name to the devotees, some ordinary students who heard him fashioned their own interpretation. When a student interpreted the glories of the holy name as a prayer of exaggeration, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, greatly unhappy, immediately warned everyone not to see the student's face forward. Without even removing his garments, Lord Caitanya took a bath in the Ganges with his companions. There he explained the glories of devotional service. By following the paths
So why did you take a bath in the Ganges? Did anyone say except for Sridham?
of purification,
Why would he do that?
to be able to listen, be able to hear more, without, being cleansed so that you can hear Krishna Katha a little bit better and to get the blessings of Mother Ganges.
Not exactly.
Huh?
Because he felt contaminated because this student had said the glories of the holy name were an exaggeration. So he felt contaminated because he'd heard that. So he went to take a bath in the Ganges.
No. By following the paths of speculative philosophical knowledge, fruitive activity, or mystic yoga to control the senses, one cannot satisfy Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Unalloyed devotional love for Krishna is the only cause for the Lord's satisfaction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me." Lord Caitanya then praised Murari Gupta, saying, "You have satisfied Lord Krishna." Hearing this, Murari Gupta quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. "Since I am but a poor, sinful Brahma Bandhu, not Brahmanically qualified, although born in a Brahmana family, and you, Lord Krishna, are the shelter of the goddess of fortune, it is simply wonderful, my dear Lord Krishna, that you have embraced me with your arms." One day, the Lord performed Sankirtan with all his devotees, and when they were greatly fatigued, they sat down. The Lord then
So do you know who spoke that verse? Time but a poor simple Brahma Bandhu, not Brahmanically qualified, although born in a Brahmin family. It'll probably say it in the purple. Let's look in the purple.
Sudama Vipra.
Yes. How did you know?
I read the purport.
Yeah, I thought it was him. All right, keep reading.
Text 80.
Okay, text 80. The Lord then sowed a mango seed in the yard, and immediately the seed fructified into a tree and began to grow.
Okay, it's Lydia.
Looked on, the tree became fully grown, with fruits that fully ripened. Thus everyone was struck with wonder. The Lord immediately picked about 200 fruits, and after washing them, he offered them to Krishna to eat. The fruits were all red and yellow, with no seeds inside and no skin outside, and
Wow, how about that?
fruits will immediately fill a man's belly.
Amazing.
Seeing the quality of the mangoes, the Lord was greatly satisfied, and thus after eating first, he fed all the other devotees. The fruits had no seeds or skin. They were full of nectarines, juice, and were so sweet that a man would be fully satisfied by eating only one. In this way, fruits grew on the trees every day throughout the 12th month of the year, and the Vaishnavas used to eat them, to the Lord's great satisfaction. These are confidential pastime of the sons of Sashi. Other than devotees, no one knows of this incident. In this way, the Lord performed Sankirtan every day, and at the end of Sankirtan, there was a mango eating festival every day for 12 months.
Wow.
Once, while Caitanya Mahaprabhu was performing kirtan, clouds assembled in the sky, and the Lord, by his own will, immediately stopped them from pouring rain. One day, the Lord ordered Srivasa Thakur to read the
Prihat Sahasranam.
the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, for he wanted to hear them at that time.
As
I think it's Israel.
As he read the 1,000 names of the Lord, in the due course, the holy name of Lord Narasimha appeared. When Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard the holy name of the Lord Narasimha, he became fully absorbed in thought. In the mood of Lord Narasimhadeva, Lord Caitanya ran through the city streets, club in hand, ready to kill all the atheists. Seeing him appeared very fierce in the ecstasy of the Lord Narasimha, people ran from the streets and fled here and there, afraid of his anger. Seeing the people so afraid, the Lord came to his external senses, and though returned to the house of Srivasa Thakura and threw away the club. The Lord became morose and said, Srivasa Thakura, when I adopted the mood of Lord Narasimhadeva, people were greatly afraid. Therefore, I stopped, since causing fear among people is an offense. Srivasa Thakura replied, anyone who takes your holy name vanquishes 10 millions of his offenses immediately. There is no offense in your appearing as Narasimhadeva, rather than a man who saw you in that mood was immediately liberated from the bondage of the material existence. After saying this, Srivasa Thakura worshipped the Lord, who was then greatly satisfied and returned to his own home. On another day, a great devotee of Lord Shiva, chanting of the Lord Shiva's qualities, came to the Lord Chaitanya's house, where he began dancing in the courtyard and playing his damura musical instrument. Then the Lord Caitanya, adopting the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulder, and though they danced together for a long time.
Okay. Sid?
Yes, text 101.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
On another day in the a mendicant came to beg alms from the Lord's house, but then he saw the Lord dancing. He also began to dance. He danced with the Lord because he was favored by love of Krishna. Thus he flowed into the mellows of love of Godhead. On another day, an astrologer came who was said to know everything, past, present, and future. Thus, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu received him with all honor and put this question before him. Please tell me who I was in my previous birth, the Lord said. Please tell me your astrological computations. Hearing the words of the Lord, the astrologer immediately began to calculate. Through calculation and meditation, the all-knowing astrologer saw the greatly effulgent body of the Lord, thus, which is the resting place of all the unlimited Vaikuntha planets. Seeing Lord, oops, see, which
106.
106. Seeing Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu to be the same absolute truth, the supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, the astrologer was confused. Struck with wonder, the astrologer remained silent, unable to speak. But when the Lord again put the question before him, he replied as follows. "My dear sir, in your previous birth, you were the shelter of all creation, the supreme
Personality of Godhead.
supreme personality of Godhead, full of all opulences. You are now the same personality of Godhead that you were in your previous birth. Your identity is inconceivable, eternal happiness." When the astrologer was speaking so highly of him, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu stopped him and began to smile. "My dear sir," he said, "I think you do not know very clearly that I was, for I know that I am, that in my previous birth I was a cowherd boy." Haribol.
In my last birth, I was born in a family of cowherd men, and I gave protection to the calves and cows. Because of such pious activities, I have now become the son of a Brahmin. Maybe that's what will happen to me, because I've got cows. The astrologer said, when I saw it, meditation was full of opulence, and therefore I was confused. I'm certain that your form and the form I saw in my meditation are one and the same. If I see any difference, this is an act of your illusory energy. The all-knowing astrologer concluded, whatever you may be, or whatever you may be, or whoever you may be, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. By his causeless mercy, the Lord then gave him love of Godhead, thus rewarding him for his service. One day the Lord sat down in the corridor of the Vishnu temple and began calling very loudly, "Bring some honey, bring some honey." Nityananda Prabhu Goswami, understanding the ecstatic mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, brought a pot of Ganges water as a token and put it before him. After drinking the water, Lord Caitanya became so ecstatic that he began to dance. Thus everyone saw the pastime of attracting the river Jamuna. When the Lord in his ecstasy of Baladev was moving as if intoxicated by the beverage, Advaita Acharya, the chief of the Acharyas, Acharya Shekhara, saw him in the form of Balaram. Vanamali Acharya saw a golden flower in the hand of Balaram, and the devotees all assembled together and danced, overwhelmed by ecstasy. In this way, they danced continuously for 12 hours. In the evening, they all took a bath in the Ganges and then returned to their homes. I think we'll stop here and we'll carry on reading this because this is a very long chapter. So somebody remember, text 121 next time. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. So I'm going to go to the temple. We'll get the program soon. I was just in Tallahassee. I think maybe some of you saw my Facebook post. I met a nice boy there. He wrote me a letter. He was a fan of George Harrison. You see the letter?
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, it was a nice letter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I met a lot of nice people there, actually. And they have a nice temple president there in Tallahassee. Tallahassee is the state capital of Florida, if you didn't know, probably. Yeah. But pretty big university, Florida State, FSU University. That's some nice people. We had Krishna Kripa was there. Krishna Kripa is a very special devotee. He goes out every day by himself in his dhoti, rain or shine, and chants Hare Krishna. by himself for 3 hours every day on the campus. It's pretty amazing. He's the most renounced person I've ever met. He has hardly any money. He traveled all over the place. And so in the winter, because the weather's better in Florida, he goes to the campus there and just chants for 3 hours. And on Friday night, they have a special program called the First Friday in Tallahassee. And it's a nice kind of sort of hippie scene in a certain part of Tallahassee. He goes there, and there was an Indian boy he was at the University of Florida, the Indian boy. And he's preaching to some of the students. He has a program in his house. So things are going on. They have a Krishna lunch there, but it's not nearly as big as the one in Gainesville. And it's run by one Ukrainian devotee who's a refugee. He came there after the war, waiting for his wife to come. But we had what's that talking? We had a Rath Yatra festival because yesterday was a spring parade in Tallahassee. So there were lots of floats, and we had the Rath Yatra car that was being towed by a truck actually. And we had about 40 devotees, and lots of women were dancing the beautiful Russian style. It was nice. And then I came back to Alachua, and here I am. So, any questions?
I do have one, Garaj. In reference to text 9, it says, in Gaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was initiated by Ishvara Puri, and immediately afterwards he exhibited signs of love of Godhead. He again displayed such symptoms after returning home. I thought it was, I remember last class, or maybe the class before, when we were, it was about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how he, by his example, he gives instruction. And I was just thinking of this exhibiting the importance of initiation for achieving love of God, that he wasn't exhibiting those signs before initiation. And I was just hoping if you could expand upon how essential that is, and sort of that beautiful aspect of being initiated is really, the beginning of that process to love of God.
Well, you're connected to the parampara when you get initiated. And Ishvara Puri, I can't remember who he was in Krishna Lila, but he was obviously someone special. So I guess, associating with Ishvara Puri, because he was such an advanced devotee, he felt ecstatic, and because he, Prabhupada says you can't really go back to Godhead unless you get initiated. So initiation is very important. So probably showing an example that, initiation is important. And it's not like when I got initiated, I didn't immediately feel symptoms of love of Godhead. It's not like that for ordinary people. Devotees aren't ordinary, but we're not like Lord Caitanya. So, but at the same time, it is a big day in the devotee's life, and it's a big step to take initiation, to make a vow like that. That's why usually it's good to wait for a little bit before you get initiated, at least a year or so, just to see, how serious you are, because a lot of people, and I've seen it, people come, I've seen it so many times, they get initiated and then very quickly they give up Krishna consciousness. They're really keen to get initiated. As soon as they get initiated, they disappear, or they stop following the regular principles. So, and then, if you initiate somebody who becomes fallen and sinful, then the guru, is, at least theoretically, has to suffer for the sins of the disciple. So the guru, wants to be merciful, but at the same time doesn't want to do something which is going to bring him some bad karma. So therefore he should be careful. Lord Prabhupada, he initiated people right away, in fact, without, they would walk into the temple. They'd never been to the temple before. And, but then it said, a big fire can, absorb any amount of fuel put on it. So, an advanced devotee like Srila Prabhupada, he could absorb the sinful reactions, or maybe Krishna absorbed them for him without being affected. But it is a warning that, a guru shouldn't be too keen to take on too many disciples, because it is a dangerous thing. And it's dangerous to the disciple, what's more, because if the disciple makes a vow and doesn't stick to the vow, that is also, that's not spiritually going to be beneficial. And Prabhupada would chastise, when he would talk about people that couldn't follow their vows, and he would say they're not honest, they're not gentlemen, they made a vow, they're not following the vow. So therefore, it's good to be sure before you get initiated, the guru has to be sure that this person is really sincere. So, I would say that he felt ecstatic because he was initiated, and he did, get the association of Ishvara Puri, whoever he was in his previous life, or, and that's, as Prabhupada said, it's anybody who is unwilling to get initiated, or reticent, or doesn't want to get initiated, then they'll be baffled in the path back to Godhead. So being initiated is a big thing. Anyway, I don't know if that explains it at all.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Why is it that if a person doesn't get initiated, they will have a really difficult time in spiritual life?
Probably because, you have to be humble to go back to Godhead. And you have to humble yourself before a guru. And a lot of people, they don't want to humble themselves. They would rather, they don't want to bow down to a guru because they're too puffed up, and they don't want to take directions because they think they know as much as everybody else. So it's not like the guru necessarily, there's different types of gurus. Maybe Prabhupada had perfect vision, maybe not all gurus on that level, but still, we have to see that somebody who's practiced spiritual life a lot longer than they have, maybe they have more insight into how to practice it, and maybe we can learn something from them by accepting them as some kind of a guide or a guru. And ultimately, the problem with Christianity is that they don't have the living guru system, which means that if somebody thinks that Christ is accepting them, but Christ isn't here to see how they're behaving, then he may not be accepting them. Whereas a guru, he has to be sure that the disciples are following the process as well as they can, or at least enough to qualify for initiation. And it's easy to say, well, I believe in Christ and Christ is my savior, or Krishna is my savior, but I'm not going to bow down to anybody. But it's said that the guru accepts the respect or the worship given to him and passes it on to Krishna. So it's not actually for the guru, it's for Krishna. So anyway, it's what Prabhupada says, that if you don't chant 16 rounds, you can't get initiated, and if you don't get initiated, you can't go back to Godhead. So it's just the process, and humbling yourself before a human being is an important step, that to accept that maybe somebody knows more than you do. I mean, sometimes the disciple could be more advanced than the guru. It's possible, but still, out of etiquette, they still take initiation from the guru and bow down to the guru. Right? So it's really a question of humbling yourself and serving a human being as who's a devotee. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. I was also thinking even Krishna and Lord Caitanya, by their example, they accepted spiritual masters, and Krishna went to Gurukul and was doing so many menial services for his guru there, Sanipani Muni. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So yeah.
I don't necessarily have a question, but something that stuck out to me at the beginning was that it said, there was a text that said, sometimes Krishna takes birth as Lord Caitanya. And it just made me think about how I wanna find it.
You want to what? Find it?
Yeah.
Is it a verse or is it in the commentary?
I think it was a verse.
Sometimes what?
Sometimes he takes birth as Lord Caitanya or appears as Lord Caitanya.
Well, he doesn't appear as Lord Caitanya very often. It's only once in a day of Brahma.
Yeah.
Once in the life of Brahma.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about how, like, even the material world, like, is it eternal? It like keeps going through its phases, right? And so this the first time that Lord Caitanya appears? It's not, right?
No.
He keeps appearing. And I don't know, I was just kind of fascinated by that, how we're able to experience like this in this age, how he came, the pastimes that we have. And it made me curious of what his other pastimes are in his other appearances.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know.
But Krishna's pastimes are always the same.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Krishna's pastimes repeat themselves. And we find that the great writers that Krishna sent to the material world, they constantly repeat the same pastimes. They don't all have different pastimes. They just describe them from different perspectives.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we don't know. There's nowhere I've read which describe Lord Chaitanya's in a previous age.
Mhm.
We don't read that. It's not. I've read all Prabhupada's books a few times, and he never says anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really know, but it's possible. He appears regularly, but not very often. And his pastimes, who knows? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine they'd be the same because Islam is a new religion. And I don't know if they had Islam, millions of years ago when Lord Caitanya last appeared, or if he did appear.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it may be different. But Krishna, they didn't have Muslims in Krishna's time. So maybe his pastimes are the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else? Sid, you're coming to Alachua tomorrow.
Yes, I'm on my way back to South Florida from Washington, D.C.
You're in Washington, D.C.?
Yes.
What are you doing up there?
I went to a bat mitzvah of a relative.
Oh, one of your relatives?
Yes. You know, it's a little girl who is now a woman,
Oh, I see. Okay. How old is she?
13.
So you're quite in touch with your family members, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
I don't go up north very often, but this was a good reason to do that.
Right, yeah. You drove up there?
Yes,
Oh, that's a long drive. All right.
this is true.
Huh?
It's true. It's a long ride.
Yeah. Are you just passing through in the daytime or what?
Alachua?
Yeah.
Yes. I'll probably spend the day tomorrow in Alachua.
All right. Well, you can call me up. Maybe you can come and see me or something.
Of course, I was hoping so.
All right. All right. Anyway, I'll see you when I see you. Probably next week. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Srila Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Caitanya
Jai.
Caritamrta.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a nice day. Drive safely, Sid.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Many blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare
Nice to see
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.